Greetings, and welcome to tonight's. What we got going on here? We got some things. There we go. Okay, and welcome to our uh, online support group for caregivers this evening. We want to say thank you for joining us. This is a Center of Empowerment Coin PM. Uh, Hosted event on Iris Inspires TV's channel, and we want to say thank you. It is specifically designed to give those that are in the world of caregiving support, an opportunity to ask questions, to hear real life experience, having a real talk, real experience, and real hope about the journey, because we all know that the journey is nothing easy sometimes, but to be able to say that is another thing. All right, but before we get started, I want to ask that you put in the chat what city or state that that you're checking in from. We greatly appreciate it. And also don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Subscribe the channel and like the video, because that's what helps keep our algorithm up and gets the information out to the social media world, the YouTuberation world, so that it will get into the boxes, the boxes. You know, when you see in your history those recommended videos, that's how that happens, because people are liking our content. So I want to say thank you for that. Before I go any further, we're going to do what we do, and that's we're going to pause and take a deep inhale, take a breath, so that we can get centered in the moment right here. Take a deep inhale with me through the nose and hold. And on the count of 4, exhale through the mouth. 3, 4. Yes, and I like to move from one side to kind of stretch yourself out to the next, right to left. Yeah, kind of stretches that spine just a little bit and gives you the opportunity, especially if you've been sitting, if you've been in traffic, if you've had an intense day, kind of loosen yourself up just a little bit, right? We want to get present. We want to let go of what happened this morning, this afternoon, right before you tuned in. Take another deep inhale. Hold. And on the count of 4, you're going to exhale slowly through the mouth. 2, 3, and 4. It is that breath that calls us family. When God breathed the breath of life into you and I, he said, you are created in my very image and after my likeness. That means you're not no junk. And you know what? God is so big, bad, and bold. He made us distinctly different and said that we are all yet created in the image and after the likeness of the creator of all life. Breath is what makes humanity family. And so I want to say thank you again. We're going to take one more breath because I need it. How about that? I need it. If you don't, I do. Take a deep inhale. Hold. And exhale through the mouth. You cannot do that and not be present in the moment and allow yourself to be right here with us. All right. So tonight our topic, we kind of have refined the topic a little bit, and we are going to be talking about the power of self-care as a caregiver, and the unseen things, the unseen discussion, the unseen things we have to deal with that doesn't often get discussed as being a caregiver to our parents and to our loved ones. What I do want to say at this point, the caregiving is not only to our loved ones that may be ill or elderly, but caregivers also include, it may be the position you signed up for to be a caregiver, meaning you could be a parent that's caring for a special needs, what is defined as a special needs child, or you may be a homeschool parent. You may be your profession may be doctor, lawyer. Listen, if you are a public servant, you're a caregiver, because you have to make sure that you are handling the public with care. And so we like to make sure we understand that caregiving is all encompassing. Okay, it's not only, though that is a main component to caregiving, is for our those that may be ill, our elderly, our loved ones. But it is, when you think about caregiving, a mother is a caregiver, a father is a caregiver. A wife, a husband is a caregiver because we're responsible for the care of another human being. We have to take in consideration where they are, their health, their mental state, and etc. So, center of empowerment, who are we? Center of Empowerment, MEANT, inner power purpose. And so we are an organization, a nonprofit organization or not for profit organization, because you know you got to have money to do everything. I'm just saying. But we are not for profit. We don't do it for profit. We do it as a service. And who do we serve? We are a bridge of hope. This extends beyond solutions to families in transition. We are one of those bridges are the four cornerstones. If you go to our website, we'll talk about the four cornerstones of life. And one of those bridges is the mental health. And this falls under our mental health. What is mental health? Mental health refers to a person's emotional, psychological, social well-being. Many times in our community, we hear mental health and we think that a person has to be ill. Now, it does encompass mental illness. That is something that it encompasses. But not only our mental health, our well-being. How are we handling and coping with life? How are we handling and coping with being a caregiver? And how it is impacting the family as a whole, because we have to make sure that the family, family goes through change and transition. And so we're going to talk about that. With that said, let me introduce our guest for tonight. Before I do that, did you like and subscribe? I'm just asking. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us with our algorithm. And if you could be so kind to put in the chat where you listen. You don't have to give your name, just where you're listening from. And if you have questions, comments, don't hesitate to put it in the chat, because I will have an opportunity to see it on this side. All right. And ask our guests. We have Dr. Linda. I'm not going to say her last name because I don't want to mess it up. So we'll let her say it, okay? We have Dr. Linda, and I'm notorious for messing and botching up names. Charge it to my head and not my heart. Has served as an educational administrator and teacher for over 40 years in public and private sector. Dr. Linda, providing leadership and effective instructions for students and teachers in urban areas. She has also taught at various universities and colleges in the teacher education programs. Serving as a school site administrator for decades has provided insight into the sacrifices women have endured to serve in their leadership roles and the support needed to maintain happy, healthy, balanced lives. That's what I'm talking about. Happy, balanced lives that incite and her passion to help others has inspired Dr. Linda to host wellness symposiums and retreats that focuses on women's health and wellness strategies. Welcome, Dr. Linda. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be with us tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Iris, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So thank you once again for allowing me to be here.
Absolutely. I had an opportunity to hear a little bit of your story, and you shared a little bit of your story. But what I want to ask you, we gave you a brief snap. She got an intensive resume. But what I would like you to share with the audience tonight is your experience and how and what happened that you found yourself in the space of having to care for both of your parents.
Okay, that is definitely a big question. Parents. When I think of my parents, it just touches my heart. Okay, keep right there in the moment.
It's okay. It's
my
okay.
Parents, yes, my parents were just so wonderful. When you think about parents, sometimes people have good experience with their parents growing up, and some people don't. I was very blessed to have parents who gave us all that we needed to have a happy childhood, to have that support and love that we needed in school. They took us to church. We had parents who were parents, and they took their roles as parents seriously. And so when I think of my parents, it is that special place that I go to because they're always here in my heart. But as you know, as we get older, if we are blessed to get older, and it is a blessing to get older, sometimes we need care. Now, my mom, she was the one who first needed more care. Her health wasn't the greatest for a very long time, being a diabetic. She had from an early age, she suffered with having brain tumors. I remember her having 3 surgeries to take out brain tumors. The very last one is when I was pregnant with my last child. And she said, no, I'm not having any surgery until my daughter has her twins. And she didn't have that surgery until then. As time went on, she developed dementia. And so that's when a lot of things spiral, because dementia brings on a lot of personality that you're just not familiar with, from just growing up with your parents. And that was kind of a hard picture to see. It's like, who is this person that I'm now caring for that looks like my mom? But some of what I hear coming from the mouth and the behaviors, like, I don't know who this person is. But what you have in your heart for that parent that was always there for you, always so good to you, supported you in every single thing, even things that they didn't want you to do, that love was there so that you could see beyond the problems that they were having mentally, physically, in their mind, heart, and body, so that you could care for them. So mom had dementia. She wasn't very physically active. So she wasn't moving around the way that she needed to keep her body strong. With that being said, her body was very weak. So she needed help just getting in and out of bed. She needed help going to the restroom. She needed help walking from the bedroom to the family room, where she sat most of the day. That was her daily routine. She needed help with her medications, getting them organized and taking them. And she needed somebody to do that. Now, my dad did it for a while, but then he developed heart problems. He had congestive heart failure. He needed to have heart surgery. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, Dad, are you sure? Because if you don't, the doctor has explained that, the outcome may not be what we all want. Yes, I'm sure. But his love for my mother made him say, no, I'm not going to have my own heart surgery because I need to be here for her. That was the sacrifice that he rendered, because he did not want to leave my mother. He wanted to be there to take care of her. She was his wife. That meant a lot to him. And he was going to make it his business to see about his wife. Well, his health started failing. His health started failing. And right around in that time, they asked me, well, Linda, will you move in with us? I didn't want to. No, I have my own house, my own home, my own routine. I'll go every day. I'll go every day, and I'll make sure that I see about them. But no, will you please move in with us? They needed me. The Lord spoke and said, Linda, this is what I need for you to do. They need you. Are you sure, Lord? Of course, God is sure. He's all knowing. But that was my question. Are you sure, Lord? And he said, yes. So, of course, I'm obedient. These are my parents, people that I've known all of my life, from birth until adulthood. And so mom and dad are both sick. Dad gets to the point where he needs somebody to drive him. He needs someone to do all the chores that he was accustomed to doing. That became me and my youngest son. We became their unofficial care providers. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. I just knew that I was taking care of my parents, and, taking them to the doctors, cooking their food, doing all of the chores, paying their bills for them. Whenever they would have their moments, and I'll call them moments, you have to hear them, and yet you set yourself aside, because you know that is not them, but it's what's going on in their heart, their mind, their bodies. And you just say, okay, I got you. I got you. It takes, in my mind, just from the experience, it takes a special heart, special mind. You have to have patience beyond your imagination. And you have to have a love inside of you that goes far beyond what you even love yourself. Because
Mhm.
this is a definite unconditional love sacrifice. It's
Mhm.
compassion up close and personal. When
Mhm.
you know that you are going to the doctors, you're answering their phone calls, you're handling their finances. And even when it gets to the point where they have to be in the hospital and you're there every day,
Mhm.
24/7, that's when you're sacrificing your job,
Mhm.
because I had
Mhm.
to stop working. I just took off.
Mhm.
And the Lord blessed, because I don't know where the time came from. Sick
Mhm.
time, family time, borrowed time, no time.
Mhm.
God allowed me to be off for a whole year and a half, and I don't know where the money came from. I still got paid
Mhm.
for my job.
Mhm.
My son was my helper. He was my helper. We had to literally pick up people out of the bed to get them from one place to another. I mean, pick them up. And my mother was
Mhm.
a big woman. And
Mhm.
I was like, Lord, you need to give me the strength of Samson. That was my prayer. And
Mhm.
God would strengthen me, and I could pick that big woman up. Short, but and when you can't lift yourself, the weight is
Mhm.
even heavier.
Mhm.
It's even heavier. Those were the things we had to do. I remember my dad got his illness became worse more than my mom's, and he was initially her caregiver, but
Mhm.
he got really, really sick. Now, this was very touching for me.
Mhm.
I remember that I was out where I live now in Lake Elsinore, and we were at the pool and enjoying poolside amenities. My dad called me. He said, my nickname, Nin, you need to come home. What's the matter, Dad? He said, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I said, okay, Dad, let's call the ambulance. No, I'm waiting for you. I'm like,
Mhm.
Dad, if it's something wrong and you know it, we need to call 911. Well, I
Mhm.
called my sister. She called 911. I called my neighbor to go over there. My dad would not go with anybody. He waited for me about 2 hours to come from the Inland Empire to Compton. He waited for me. And when I got there, I said, Dad, are you ready to go? He said, yes. He would not go with anyone but me. And I was
Mhm.
just amazed. I'm like, this is serious, Dad.
Mhm.
So we get to the hospital. His heart is failing. We get there, and he never comes out of the hospital. He has to stay.
Mhm.
He has to stay in the hospital. So now my mother is at home, and I call my sister and brother. I need help because I can't be in two places. I'm staying at the hospital with my dad. I'm a daddy's girl.
Mhm.
I was at that hospital. I said, okay, I need somebody to come be with mom, because mom cannot do anything for herself.
Mhm.
So my son, who's in college, which kind of he sacrificed a year and a half from college, which he's a year and a half behind, because
Mhm.
we took care of our parents. This is what the Bible says. And I always remember this scripture in First Timothy. Let me read it. It says, but if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So we, as the children, as our parents get older, and that's the perspective I'm coming from, the parents of the child, it is our obligation to care for them. It's not a choice. We don't get a choice to say yes or no. It's our obligation. This is what the Bible says. And
So, can I ask you something right here? Because this is the question I
yes,
can actually hear it. Because you actually mentioned it when you
yes,
started, Linda. Um,
yes,
so, first of all, thank you. Um, in the African American culture, it's been pretty traditional that we take care of our parents. I think over the years we have seen more recently that some may put parents and loved ones in homes, and then situations where they may have to because they just don't have the support necessary, and we'll get to talk about that later. But the other thing is, for those who hear this, who say, but I didn't have a good relationship with my parent. My parent, my parents, they're down now and they need my help, but they was never there for me. What would you say to that person? Because that's and I'm asking you that because I can think of a specific situation of a young lady that I'm working with, and that's one of the things that has come up is that my parents didn't raise me. My grandparents did.
exactly.
Mhm.
Right. And
What
that
would you say?
happens a lot for many people. I would say I understand exactly what you're saying. It is true. Maybe your grandparents did raise you, but that
Mhm.
woman, that man, that's still your mother, your birth mother, your birth father, and right now they need you. Did we
Mhm.
disappear? Okay. And right now they need you. So I need you to reach deep in your heart where everything pure and good is, because that's where God is. God is in our heart. And to pull out that love, it's there. It is there. It might be buried on top of all the layers of whatever you've dealt with, however you felt because you weren't raised by your parents, but it's there and they need
Mhm.
you. And I would say to you, care for your parent. Care for
Mhm.
your parent. If you're in position to do it, or if you can uh, place yourself in position to do it, do it. It you may not see it now, but it will benefit you later. And I know I can give you several examples of people who had that exact same scenario.
Mhm.
And sometimes God allows that so that that hurt can be bridged. We can finally release and let it go, because whatever we're dealing with, we have to face it. We have to face it in order to release and let go. So I would say, yes, that was your mom, that was your dad. They need you. And I would
Mhm.
encourage you to be there for them. Close the door to the past. Let's look forward and let's do what's good and right to do. That's what I
Mhm.
would say.
Mhm. Okay.
Not
All right.
easy.
Well.
Not saying it's easy. Not
Mhm.
easy. The right thing is not always easy. Sometimes it's the hardest step to take, but we have that
And
power
so,
within us.
I'm going to add. I'm going to add to that. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, right, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm not going to say that at all. What I will add to that is there may be. I just like to put the disclaimer out there because there are situations where there has been very unhealthy, abusive situations, and it
Yes.
still may very well be. And the person and the individuals may have made peace with that part of their life. And so you really have to, I agree with you, you really have to dig within self and determine. Because
Yes.
whereas my relationship with my parents and my mother and my father, uh, I was, as far as I'm concerned, was a very good relationship. But I hear stories on an ongoing basis where that's not the case. And so, but to make peace with that, you have to find that it may require some counseling. It may require some therapy, but you do have to find that. So thank you for sharing that. I just want to put that disclaimer out there because I don't want nobody going up out of here saying, no,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I would add this
Uh-huh.
too. I would add this too. If it's
Mhm.
it's just seemingly impossible for you to pull yourself in that space where you can help, find help.
There you go.
If you can't do it yourself,
Then
find the
find the
help.
help. That's where
Find
you
the
find
help.
that support.
No,
Yes. Awesome.
exactly.
Good.
Find the help for your
Mhm.
parent so that you're not personally doing it. If it's something that just you're adamant about, find the help. I would encourage that. You need a couple of options because there's no cookie cutter solution for everybody. As you said, there's a lot of scenarios out there that we're working with, and so there's no cookie cutter solution. And so I would offer 2 or 3 ideas, and then the person has to kind of find what works for them. So coming from my perspective with a spiritual, biblical, I would say, I would encourage you to. And it may not be easy. It may not be something you could even see yourself doing. Like you said, you might need counseling, you might need therapy, or you might have to find someone else to serve in your behalf. It may cost something, or you may have another relative that can come in and help. There may be some other solutions for those very difficult, family relationships.
Awesome. So going back into your journey of caring for your parents and listening to dealing with the change of your parents and seeing that happen and unfold before your eyes, their health change, and you having to care for them from lifting and moving and feeding and the financial part of it and etc. The impact that has on the family. How would you speak to that?
It is so much for a family, or one person from the family, or the entire family, just depending on how many people you're dealing with. Again, it's very difficult because that person, that parent, has changed from what you remember to now going back to a state that you've never seen before. You may haven't seen your parents in a state where they're depending totally on you or whoever's in the home. Maybe you haven't seen a parent not remember things like, Mom, I just said that, Dad, I just said that, and maybe they don't remember that. So that could be very frustrating. Can be very frustrating, and you have to repeat things over and over and over. That's a part where you got to dig in deep to pull out the patience that you have within you, because it takes a lot of compassion and patience for that person who's providing the majority of the care. There are situations where there may be more siblings than one, but only 1 or 2 is stepping up to provide the support. Then that creates a lot of anger and resentment on the one who's doing all the care. And then that's another piece of baggage that you have to deal with as the provider. And so you have to find ways to, like you were saying, breathing, to reduce that stress, to deal with the anger, to manage the anger, because you will get mad. Because it's like, I'm not the only child in this family dynamic. There's more siblings, but you may find yourself as the primary care, handling everything. And in my mind, what I had to do, this was what Linda had to do. It's say, okay, if God believes that I can do this, primarily myself, with maybe a little bit of help from my son when he's not in school, or whoever I can pull help from, a neighbor, then that means I can do it. So I had to believe in my own strength and endurance to handle it. I had to believe that I could do it. Did I get tired? Sure. We're all going to get tired. Do you feel like I can't make it? Yes, you will feel like I can make it. Do you feel like running away? Yes, you feel like running away. Sometimes. I see a question.
So let me ask you this. Yeah, I said, yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome. So, and you guys, please, by all means, put your questions in in the chat, your comments. We appreciate them, and I can ask them. And if you have my phone number, you can text the question. If you don't want to put it in there, we do that too. And don't forget to hi there. Lori
Yes.
says, hello, ladies. Can you talk about here? Let's do this. So don't forget to also subscribe and like. Hello, ladies. Can you talk about what you did when you needed time for yourself? That was what my question was going to be to you in terms of how, what did you do and how did you deal with the frustration? What did you do to deal with it? We know you got to dig deep right? But what are some tools that are some things that you found effective in your journey in dealing with that?
Yes. Thank you for asking that, Miss Lori. I see you on there. So I want to say good evening to you. That is a great question. How do we take care of ourselves or find time for self? Well, we definitely have to get in touch with someone who can come in to be in your stead for an hour or a day or a weekend, be it a sister, a brother, a family, maybe a paid care person that you may have to pay. But you have to create time for yourself, be it an hour each day, just to do something that you enjoy. Sit out in the sun, drink some iced tea. You need to do something every week for yourself, whether it's go to a movie, go visit a friend. You need to get away at least maybe once a month, maybe overnight, because you got to recharge your battery. That means that you have to find someone or a couple of people, family members, a caring neighbor, or a best friend to the person that you're caring for who will come in periodically to relieve you so that you can do some of those things that you enjoy to recharge, to refresh, to reboot, because you have to have that. You also have to make sure, as a provider, some of the basic necessities like eating right, eating healthy meals, drinking enough water, being hydrated. You got to have that. Got to get enough rest, enough sleep. Those are some of the things you have to do. And going to the doctor to make sure that you're okay. Those are some of those basic necessities that we all do. But when you're caring for someone, you definitely have to do that. Then we can go to maybe some of our guilty pleasures. Like, what do you enjoy doing? Knowing what you enjoy that'll make you smile, even if it's only for an hour. What can you do? Is it walking in the park? Is it listening to music? Is it going up to Starbucks, sitting down, having coffee? What can you do in an hour's time where you can breathe, where you can relax every part of your body? What can you do? So you have to figure out, what is it that I like? What is it that I enjoy that makes me smile? I like jogging. I like painting. I like bike riding. I like sitting out on the patio, sipping some tea, just looking at the stars, breathing the fresh air. Doesn't cost much, but a little bit of time. Now, if you can do an overnight somewhere, maybe somewhere you enjoy, whether it's with a friend, maybe it's a Catalina cruise. I'm just thinking of something off the top of my head, but maybe an overnight staycation somewhere. And maybe you can't do that, but maybe quarterly. But if you can schedule it, then you can look forward to it. But you need something that you can do even for an hour a day that you enjoy. Something, and then it'll help kind of recharge you. But you got to give yourself that time so that you can be healthy mentally, physically, to care for the person you're caring for. Those are some of the things I would try.
Awesome, awesome. Now, how did you always know that? How did you get to that place of learning to take care of yourself?
Well, it's amazing how this information came about a long time ago when I was doing my doctorate. And I was doing case studies on women who served in all these major roles, and they had busy lives, so to speak. So what did they need in order for them to maintain what they were doing in their busy lives, in their management, supervisory roles? And we came up with self-care. That was many moons ago, over 20, 30 years ago. And so we I learned that you needed time for self. You needed time to do things that you enjoy. Figure out what you enjoy, figure out what you love. You needed maybe support with housekeeping. So maybe you needed a housekeeper. If you were in a role where you can afford it, maybe you needed someone to help with the cooking. So, I learned about the value of self-care back then. And so I've been carrying it forth ever since. It's like, okay, I need time to exercise. I've always been a person who exercise. So we know exercise is healthy, but it really helps us mentally when we can exercise regularly, be it at home, with the video if you have a gym at home, or if you can get away to the gym, or you can go to the park now where they have machines that you don't have to pay for. But we do need time to exercise. It helps us in more ways than we can even really imagine, especially as we get older. A body, we heard this a long time ago on commercials, a body that stays in motion stays in motion. So this started a long time ago when I did my doctorate. Probably started before that when I was a cheerleader in high school. I was always very active physically, going to the gym, working out. When I was in college and didn't have to take any physical education, I just did because I wanted to be physically strong. I didn't really know it was self-care, but I knew I wanted to be strong. And so I've always done something activity-wise, from taking karate to Tai Chi to aerobics to Zumba to yoga to African dance, something to keep my body physically strong. And what happens when you're doing those things that you love and that you enjoy, all those endorphins flow through your body and you feel happy. When you're doing what you enjoy, it makes you happy. So that's where that started. I know I gave you a lot, but that's where that started.
No, that's okay. Listen, I have someone, Gayla, I'm going to, you're in the back. You're not on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure. You have the wrong link. That's why so there's whoever invited you should actually send you the YouTube link. Can you hear me? Are you okay? Let's see. Can you hear me? Oh, unmute. All right. So, oh yeah, and it's not letting me unmute.
Check
So with
your
that
YouTube
said,
link. Yeah, she has
check your YouTube link. Okay. All righty. All right. With that said, so awesome. What you were saying, that was completely awesome. While you were speaking, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen out there, do not hesitate to put your questions in the chat. I was thinking about how, after caring for my mother and my grandmother, but more, my mother and my grandmother, but more specifically after caring for my mother, I physically, my body was physically, well, my grandmother too. My body was physically exhausted, and I didn't realize how exhausted it was. I think as caregivers, particularly when we're caring for our loved ones, like our parents and our grandparents, we have a tendency, although we may be frustrated, we may be all those emotions, we have a tendency to go into adrenaline overload, and we do whatever we have to do. Where it comes from, we do it wherever it happens, but it tears our body down. I never had blood pressure problems before. I didn't have anxiety problems before. It was and to this date, I still can't get in a MRI machine without a relax. It's just something about that could be partly, yes, and it could be partly menopausal. I don't know, but the point I'm driving in is that oftentimes is we don't take care of ourselves because we don't feel like we have enough time to take care of ourselves. We don't prioritize ourselves. And so what would you say to that? Because there's emotional, physical, and financial challenges. You talked about that, and you touched on it, and all that is all encompassing of the stress that we internalize. We have learned as women, for the most part, yes, and men, but more so women, we have learned how to do it all. Fry it up in the pan, cut the pig, whatever we need to do. we have learned to do it. And we pay, okay, Gayla's on YouTube now. Yes. Thank you. And if you have any questions, thank you for joining us tonight. Yes. Don't hesitate to put it in the chat. How would you speak to that? We know prayer is a powerful tool. But what I would like to speak to is the guilt of when even prayer is not enough. The guilt of the frustration and all of that.
Yeah, that is definitely a real question, because you will at times feel guilty if you take time for self. That can definitely happen, and it has happened, and it will happen. I think we have to come back and fight the thought that we cannot take the time. And within the schedule of caring for our parent, our grandparent, our loved one, whoever it might be, we got to find that wiggle room. It's there. That wiggle room is there somewhere. And we have to fight the thought, whether it's self-talk, self-affirmations, going to the research, because research is out there that supports the fact that caregivers need to take care of themselves. And so we have to reach to what we know that works, and we have to fight the thoughts, the guilt. Like, no, I'm not guilty. Speak it out there. I'm not guilty. I'm going to take an hour and I'm going to take care of myself.
That's
No
good. I
guilt.
like
Go
that.
away. Speak to it. Speak to the mountain. No guilt. No, I'm not guilty. I need to take care of myself so I can take care of mom. I can take care of dad. I can take care of grandma, auntie, the neighbor, the dog, whoever it is. I have to take care of myself. And I think we have to just kind of create that mindset that will suffocate the thought and the idea of guilt.
That's good.
Because
That's
that
good.
guilt thought will impede our efforts to take care of ourselves. And what happens, like you said, you'll get exhausted mentally, physically. You will be exhausted. And if you're exhausted, out of breath, out of air, out of energy, how can you pour into somebody else? You have to be poured into. So you might even need, and I'm just going to use a buddy, an accountability buddy.
I like that.
That will say, come on, sis, I got you. You need an hour? Okay. Uncle Joe is there with mom or dad or grandma. Come, we need to go. You need somebody to kind of help pull you and say, I'm coming to get you. We got to go. We're just going to go and sit and talk. That fellowship is a great way to relieve stress. Come on, we're going to go. We're going to take a walk. Let's bike ride. Whatever it is that you enjoy, you might need a buddy to help you. Not only a buddy, there's also now caregiver support groups where you
Like
can
this.
share where you are, like this. Exactly. And get ideas of what other caregivers are doing or have done that maybe you might want to try. But you definitely have to go back to the question. You got to fight the thought of guilt. Don't let guilt take over, because it can and will if we let it. We don't have to let it, but we do have to fight. We have to fight mentally, and we have to speak it out there. No, I don't feel guilty. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm taking this hour and I'm going to go do something for myself. Mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, they're fine because somebody else is here for now. This hour belongs to me. I'm important. I have to take care of me. If not, I can't take care of them. And I think when we look at it that way, if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of them, then it'll make sense in our brain where we don't let guilt take control. We have to toss guilt out the window and say, no, just, you got to say no to it with some
Awesome. That's good.
boldness, some
Yes.
bodaciousness. That's my
That
thought.
was awesome. I love it. Giving voice to the silent torture, because 10 times out of 10, what's going on, we're keeping it inside, and it's a festering, and it's creating disease, right? It's creating the high blood pressure. It's creating the anxiety because we haven't given space. And oftentimes you feel like you're all alone. Are there any other questions? Please put it in the chat. Don't forget to like and share. This is good, Dr. Linda. We appreciate that. You hit all the points in terms of acknowledging the emotional toil, acknowledging it, reaching out for support, an accountability buddy. Knowing
sometimes, and you did say sometimes we feel like we're alone. But if we just sometimes share, tell our story right where we are in that moment, you're going to get some more information. You're going to get that support, which will give you strength so that you can take care of yourself and continue the task of being a caregiver. It's there. We don't want to keep it to ourselves. We got to let people know what opportunity we have. That's what I want to say. Being a caregiver is an opportunity, it's a privilege, it's a blessing, because at
That's all.
some point we may need a caregiver. And so we've stored up our caregiver chips, if there's such a thing, and it'll come back to us. And we're hoping that we have been compassionate as best as possible, loving, patient, and kind. And those are all attributes that I won't say that are always easy to display. But the more we practice, the easier it becomes. As a matter of fact, I'll tell this quick story, then we'll get a couple more questions. I was talking to my daughter today, and I was telling her about this woman now who I'm caregiving for. Never in a million years I thought I would be a caregiver, but these opportunities come and God says, yes, this is where you need to be. And she said, Mom, I just want to tell you that, I've known you all of my life. I've watched you over the years. And she said, how does she explain it? It was kind of like just the heart that you have that for people, the patience that you show, the way you interact with your son and daughter-in-laws, and just the advice that you give that I may not want to hear. She says, just the way that you say things, and it may not be the advice she wants. And she said, you're just amazing. And I'm like, wow. She said, just the love that you show, the compassion, and your overall, just who you are. She said, who is this lady? Who is this lady? You definitely have the Holy Spirit. As I said, it's not me, it's just God operating through me. And for those of us who believe in that way, that's what helps me. And if you have another belief system, that's fine. We still have to encourage ourselves. We still have to take time for self. Even if you're not caregiving, you still need time for self, whether it's a family, whether you're working full time. You still have to carve that time. When you write your agenda for the week, schedule an appointment with yourself.
There it is. That's how you have to do it.
Schedule an appointment with yourself and hold to it. Don't let anybody steal your time.
That's right.
That time is for you. You love yourself, hopefully. That's another topic, but hopefully you love yourself enough to spend time with yourself doing things you enjoy that'll make you smile. Just doing that.
That is so awesome. You said something that's key. You have to have a spiritual foundation. What you choose that to be is your business, but you have to have a spiritual foundation. And I'm with you. I choose to acknowledge that it's the Holy Spirit within that gives you that fortified strength to walk through what you were talking through earlier, to experience and walk through situations that in your own humanness you can't do it. But when you partner with the Holy Spirit within, or with your spiritual foundation, you find strength in areas that you don't have or can't have without it. And it also affords you the understanding. When it's balanced, it affords you the understanding to take care of yourself. I often say it is impossible to say
you got a story to tell.
Okay, I want you to tell it too. It's impossible to take say you love God, right, and don't love yourself. You got to love yourself, because that's loving God. Go ahead, tell your story.
Now, this is a story. And I always got stories to tell to kind of go with what I'm talking about. So several years ago, I was helping a senior woman in my next door neighbor where I was living. She asked me if I could come in and help her organize and clean her home. Of course, I say yes, because that's right in my wheelhouse. It's something that I do very easy. I said, are you just in love with all of these things here? Because in order to really clean up, we need to kind of declutter and get rid of some things. She said, no, just show me what you're thinking and we'll come to agreement. So anyway, we decided that there was a small couch that had the reclining seats, that we were going to take it and move it into one of the small bedrooms. So it was myself. I had my son. I always got my son with me, but he's like 10 at this time. And so, we get the sofa upside this way, and we get it in the door, but it gets stuck. I'm
Mhm.
inside the bedroom. My young son and the neighbor's grandson, they're outside and they're trying to push and I'm trying to pull and nothing's moving. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm stuck in here. What am I gonna do? And we kept trying. And of course, the senior lady, she couldn't do anything. I'm helping her. Anyway, so right at that last push, I was like, Lord, I need some help. I just said it loud like that. And that sofa came flying through the door. And I was
Wow.
asked my son, I said, son, did you
Wow.
guys move? They were sitting on the couch
Mhm.
playing video games. And I was
Wow.
like, right in that
Wow.
moment, the Holy Spirit, the hand of God,
Yeah.
pushed
Yes.
that couch because
Mhm.
I was helping another
Mhm.
person,
Mhm.
kind of caregiving on a day-to-day basis.
Uh-huh.
So, kind of what we're saying, when we need that extra help,
Mhm.
that extra support to make it day by day as a caregiver, all we have to do is reach out to the one we believe in. And for me,
Mhm.
it's God.
Mhm.
And he provides that help that we need, the help that we don't have ourselves. We just
Mhm.
got to call, I need help.
Mhm.
And it comes. And that's what
Yes.
happened in that story. And that's what happens all the time for me in my life. I can attest to that. And
Mhm.
so we can do it
Mhm.
because we have help, whether it's through a
One
person that
person or the
sins
other. Mhm.
or
Mhm.
through the Holy Spirit itself.
Mhm.
My thoughts.
So, what awesome. I love it. Love it. Love it. So, as it pertains to when you're seeing the change in your loved one, your parents, your grandparents, there's a grieving process that you go through because that person is not there anymore. Well, how would you speak to that and how did you walk through that?
Ooh,
Yes.
I walked through that part very terribly, I must admit, because my parents were with me all of my life, from
Mhm.
birth till adult, and so I was used to interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. I didn't understand grief until both of my parents passed away. For me, I began having panic attacks, couldn't breathe. My heart would just start racing just out of the blue. My grief got so bad, I went blind. I could not
Mhm.
see. And I still went to work, but I had to get a good friend of mine to take me to work every day for about 3 months. Everybody thought I had a new boyfriend. I had a person who was caregiving me to get me to
Mhm.
work because I could not see. If it was dark, it was like I was in the matrix. I couldn't
Mm.
see anything and I would just sweat profusely and my heart would just be racing. That's when I started practicing yoga and the breathing techniques and meditation because my grief was crazy. And that yoga and the breathing, it helped me to just calm everything,
Mhm. Mhm.
to just learn how to, you know how you said, take a deep, I mean, a
Mhm.
deep breath.
Mhm.
Fill your
Mhm.
lungs and your body with oxygen, the breath of
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
And you take 3 or 4 deep breaths, and all of a sudden, boom, there's no more racing heart.
Mhm.
There's no more racing anything.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and that helped me with the panic attacks and slowing my heart down. I did join a grief group through Kaiser.
Mhm.
My very first group session, I couldn't take it. It was so many stories, it made me
Mhm.
worse. So
Yeah.
I called them up. I said, I need something different. They said, well, we need you to come back to the group class. So I did go back. And the more that I listened and I shared my story, the easier it became. The
Mhm.
easier it became to just talk, to share, to listen, and to be grateful. As I listened in those groups, I began to practice more gratefulness. So I did get support. I had one-on-one counseling through Kaiser. I had the group classes through Kaiser. I got into yoga to practice all of the stretching and the breathing, the meditation, the mindfulness. I started taking more classes in
Mhm.
meditation, mindfulness. social
Mhm.
emotional learning, because I needed it. And through all of that, plus prayer and journaling, I do a lot of writing, do a
Mhm.
lot of writing. It helped me to not be a waterfall every single day, every single
Mhm.
day. And so my grief was horrible.
Mhm.
And, but I step by step, those were the strategies that I use. And I know somebody needs that. I can't
Mhm.
say I handled it perfectly. I didn't. I cried for my parents
Mhm.
every single day. I wanted to go to heaven with them. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to be here. Can you just zap me up, beam me up, Scotty? Because I was like,
Mhm.
I can't do this without them. And he was like,
Mhm.
no, I got more work for you to do, young lady. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll do it in heaven.
Yes.
And so he was like, no, no, your parents, and he still tells me today, this is the Holy Spirit of God speaking. Your parents are happy in heaven. They're not suffering anymore. They're
Mhm.
happy and they want you to enjoy your life. But I did grief terrible. I think I could write a book about grief now.
So what I want to say, thank you so much for sharing that. What I want to say to you and the audience, um, I don't believe it's a terrible way to handle grief. So that I believe that grief
Okay.
is grief, and it is a process. And I believe that I know when you had. I'm glad we hit the nail on the head. I wanted you to share that part about your sight and how you lost your sight, which was, it's important to understand that our journey is our journey, and often and grief shows up in different ways in our body because it's
Yeah,
internalized, right? And because oftentimes. The expectation is that we should be able to handle it and continue and keep moving, and that's
right.
how I it's funny you said breathe. That's how I wrote this book right here with along with the workbook, was because I had to
Wow.
learn how to breathe. I had to learn how to breathe again.
Yes.
um and so, and it takes time. It's a process. And many
Yes.
times when we're caring for the ones that we love, this is for you guys. If you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. We are coming to a close. um as we're going through that process, we're going through that journey, many times because we believe is in conflict with our belief in God, our trust in God, and that we should be okay with it because they've gone to heaven, or they're out of pain, or they are, and so we should be okay with that, right? Well, the human part of us, we're going to miss our loved ones, and that is
Exactly.
that's a part of our life now. It's not going anywhere. And that process, when we see the decline in our loved one's life, it
Right.
starts before their actual
Be
transition.
gone. Yes.
And it's important to take that time and allow ourselves the to feel it, to process it. So thank you for sharing that. It is a journey, learning how to breathe, learning how to pause, all the things that we talked about. That's all a part of the caregiving. The caregiving. We have a quick commercial. I'm gonna show this commercial, and then I'm gonna let you come back and talk about it. All right? You guys
All
don't go
right.
nowhere. All righty? Here we go.
Linda Hodo invites you to her 2025 Wellness Retreat at the beautiful South Coast Winery and Resort from June 19th through June 21st. This
Yeah.
immersive wellness experience will focus on practices such as mindfulness, meditation, sound healing, yoga, exercise, gratitude, and plenty of fun activities. It's an opportunity to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit in a serene setting. Mark your calendars, Thursday, June 19th through Saturday, June 21st at the South Coast Winery and Resort. For registration information, contact Dr. Hodo at lindahodo81@gmail.com or call 562-443-1017. That's 562-443-1017. She looks forward to seeing you there.
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Todd,
Wow.
go
What a
ahead and talk
surprise.
about go ahead and share a little more information. Is that birthed out of this experience, your experience with caregiving and grief?
Well, actually, yes and no. It kind of went back to, the doctor program and just providing avenues for women to work on their wellness. And that's what this whole retreat is all about, is working on our wellness to continue the journey of being healthier mind, body, spirit. And so this retreat is going to be a 2-night retreat. I've been doing 1-day symposiums, and the ladies was like, we need more, we need more, we need more. So, I took a step of faith. I said, okay, Lord. He said, this is what I want you to do. So we have all types of activities that deal with our health and wellness, mental and physical, a lot of stress reducing activities, which we all need. We all need time to get away, just to breathe, to relax, to get into a new environment, different from where we are every day, to breathe new air and to meet new people as well. And so, so it's going to be a great time of course, exercise, fitness. We're going to have meditation, a lot of work with gratefulness, working on our sound healing. So have a lot of things in store, a lot of games, activities, prizes, swag bags. So a lot of fun, a lot of strategies and techniques that will help us with our social emotional learning, with our health and wellness, our mental and wellness. And that's kind of what I'm all about now these days, because no matter what we do in life, be it a caregiver, we're working full time, we're parents, we're business owners, we have nonprofits, we're busy. And many times we neglect self. And so we have to carve time. I encourage it. All the research shows us that we need time for ourselves, and we need to do it more regularly, and to make it a habit, to make it a practice. And so that's what we'll be doing at the South Coast Winery in Temecula. For those of you who have not been there, and that's June 19th through the 21st. And once again, call me, text me, email me, 562-443-1017. And I send you information so that you can be a part of this wellness endeavor, because that's what it is. And so we're going to have fun together. And I look forward to as many of you who can come to be there to work on your wellness.
So we want to say thank you so
that
much.
Was a great
You're you're very welcome. We're all about, our platform. We support and push others that are doing the work of transforming our communities and our lives. It takes a village. It's not only on one person. So we want to say thank you for sharing your story, for sharing your experience, for leaving the audience with hope. And for those that are here right now listening to us, I encourage you to share this video, share this podcast, share it with your loved ones. Make sure you make sure you subscribe. And even if you come back later and leave your questions, don't hesitate to leave your questions, your comments, because we're on mission and on purpose to make sure that we're leaving inspiration, a bridge of hope that goes beyond solutions. And so what that simply means is we're talking about shifting the trajectory of your life and your family. That's it. That's all. God bless you. Thank you again. Thank you again. Now, let me see if I can go out of here right. We got to do this. Oh, yes. And of course, your gifts are always welcome. Let me also add, I don't know if y'all can see that right there. I think she has on there May 17th. So make sure, and if you get back to her by May 17th. Okay, y'all? Can y'all do that for me? I appreciate it. With that said, again, thank you. We're going to get up out of here. Let's see, where is y'all know, sometimes she's a little, next week, the week before Mother's Day.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I do hope to see you at the retreat. Remember, self-care.
All righty. Yeah, I think that the sound, she's kind of going out. So we want to make sure that, next week that you're here with us, we have Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor. She'll be speaking to parents that has lost children. Join us next week as Dr. Linda will be with us sharing her experiences and learning the power of self-care after taking care of her parents. And then the following week will be our special Mother's Day with Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor. And she will be especially for you parents who've lost a child. We're here for you. We care for you. And we want to make sure that we are supplying and supporting you in the areas of need as you journey through the process of caring for your loved ones and grief and loss. See you next week.